Welcome to House 42. Hi, my name is David Skolni. I live here in Ma'alot Tarshiha. Ma'alot Tarshiha is in the north of Israel. It's a joint Jewish-Arab town. Ma'alot is essentially made up of a Jewish population, and Tarshiha is an Arab, Muslim, Christian village. The Jews and Arabs live alongside each other in harmony and coexistence. Here as we sit, it's nice and peaceful. You can even hear the birds singing in the sky. But a few hundred kilometers down south, there's a major war going on. Now, this war has attracted the attention of all the world, of course. Everybody has an opinion. And even amongst the Jewish people, there's a wide spectrum of opinions. Our opinion is largely affected and influenced by the journeys that we've made in our lives up until this particular point in time. Actually, this very week, the Jewish people are reading from the Torah portion, Massei. Massei, meaning journeys, describes the 42 stations or camps that the Jewish people passed through en route from Egypt to Israel. Now, these 42 journeys that the Israelites went through en route to Israel are often compared to the journey that each of us in our lives go through on our journey in life. Ma'alot actually means ascents. And on the one hand, it's named Ma'alot because we live here in the mountains with many ascents, but it also refers to our ascents in life, our spiritual ascent, and our journeys that we go through. With each journey in Judaism, we hopefully ascend to a higher level. So these journeys that we make in our life actually kick into our opinion regarding the war that's going on down south in Gaza. And talking about kicking in, you may probably be asking yourselves, why am I wearing this football slant soccer outfit? Well, actually, not so long ago, last Sunday, July the 13th, was the World Cup final in which Germany played against Argentina, which Germany won. But the Golden Ball Award for the best player of the tournament was given to Lionel Messi. Now, for some time already, I've actually noticed a very strong connection and similarity between the names Messi and Massei, the Torah portion that we read this week. And actually, if we look at the wording in Hebrew, we can see it even more clearly, where here we have Messi and here we have Massei. The only difference being that in Massei we have the letter Ayin. Now, Ayin is a letter in the Hebrew alphabet, in the alphabet, but just as every player, every 22 players on the football field have their role, every one of the 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet, beyond the various sounds that they make, they also have a role to play. And if we can actually look at the letter Ayin, if we put the Ayin on its side, Ayin actually is also I. And that makes me want to look at the life of Lionel Messi. Now, Messi was born in Argentina, and from a very young age he showed amazing potential to become a great footballer. However, he had one problem, and that is that he was very, very small. He suffered from a growth deficiency disorder, and in order for him to realize his potential, he would need hormonal treatment, which his parents could not afford. So Barcelona Football Club, noticing his major potential, they offered to bring him over at the age of 13 and to pay for his hormonal treatments. And the rest is history as far as Lionel Messi. Today he's arguably the number one football player in the world. Now, something else I've noticed about Lionel Messi's name, if you look at the name Messi, in Hebrew it's spelled Mem Samach Yud. Mem Samach in Hebrew is short for Mispar. Yud is the number 10. So very interestingly, we have Mispar Yud, number 10. As we know, Lionel Messi is number 10. So when Messi and his family realized that he had incredible potential, but they needed to do something about his disadvantage with regard to his height and his size, they didn't give up. They decided to do something, and they took their life in their own hands, and Lionel Messi ended up playing for one of the best football teams in the world to become the greatest football player, arguably, in the world today. Now, if I think about my own personal journey here in this week of Massei, I'm reminded of the times when I was 13, 14, 15 years old in South Africa, in Port Elizabeth, and hearing the stories from my parents regarding the journeys of their parents and their grandparents. My father, for example, his family came from Lithuania, and this man, Rabbi Shlomo Skolni, was in Lithuania in the 19th century, and he was a very gentle, kind person, a well-known rabbi who spent his days studying and teaching the Torah. He didn't harm anybody. Yet because he was Jewish, he was persecuted and his family was persecuted. And eventually my grandfather, Shlomo's grandson, at the age of 14 or 15 years old, had to leave Lithuania and eventually via England arrived in South Africa. And likewise my grandmother, whom he married later in South Africa. On my mother's side, my mother was born in Amsterdam, and her father's family originally were from Portugal, but were expelled from Portugal during the Spanish Inquisition, where all the Jews were either killed or had to leave to various countries, many of which came to Europe, to other countries in Europe. Jacob, my grandfather, arrived in Holland. And fortunately for him, in 1930, being a diamond cutter, he left Holland to come to South Africa. We all know what happened to the Dutch Jews a few years later. Many of his family were killed by the Nazis in the Holocaust. So after understanding the history of the Jewish people, being brought up in apartheid South Africa at the age of 23, I decided that I could no longer live in the country with that kind of oppression. And at the end of 1982, I came to live in Israel. And Israel is actually the story of the Jewish people who, after being booted out of many countries after the Holocaust, was actually given this little tiny strip of land. Maybe this little piece over here, if we look at this as the whole earth. It was given this land by United Nations resolution, and the State of Israel was created in 1948. And with the people's hands, from desert and from swamps, an incredible country has been created. And that actually brings me back to the letter Yud, which I referred to earlier. If we look at the letter Yud, here I've enlarged it. But the Yud is the first letter of the word Israel. It's the first letter of the word Yehudi, and it's the first letter of the word Yerushalayim. It is only with our hands, if we can build constructively with our hands and give our hand out for peace, can we really achieve something in this area. Unfortunately, in Gaza, the Hamas have been using their hands for other activities. They've been using their hands for digging tunnels. They've been using their hands for building rockets for destruction. as opposed to for construction. So when the Israeli soldiers make their journey into Gaza, they not only carry with them their army number, they not only take with them their weapons, they also carry on their backs their number 42. Those are all the journeys of their parents, of their grandparents, of their great-grandparents, and of all the journeys of the Jewish people. So as we approach the Shabbat of the reading of Massei, I want to take the symbolism of house number 42 where I live, in the city of Ma'alot, in the city of Ascents, and pray that all the people in this region can, just like the Yud, give out their hands to make peace, to build bridges of peace and not tunnels of destruction. And I would like to end with a reading from the portion of Massei, the very first line. Eile Massei b'nei Yisrael asher yatsu me'eretz Mitzrayim netzivatam beyad Moshe va'Aaron. These are the journeys of the children of Israel who went forth from the land of Egypt according to their legions under the hand of Moses and Aaron. So as we approach this Shabbat Massei, it is my prayer that all the leaders in the region give out their hands to make peace. Here in Ma'alot Tarshiha, the Jews and Arabs coexist side by side. It is possible. Shabbat Shalom.